How to save money in Airsoft. Let's face it, we all have only limited money and we all want to spend it wisely. But making sure that you are getting the most bang out of your buck can be tricky, especially if you are a beginner or even a bit more advanced Airsoft player. I will walk you through the cheapest way to get everything you need to start and keep playing Airsoft on a decent level with very little compromises. Let's start with tip number 1. Get the essentials first. To start, we have to first look at what gear you need to play Airsoft. The problem here lies in the fact that many people look at YouTube videos and see all the cool guys wearing thousands of dollars worth of gear and think that this is what they need to play. It cannot be further from the truth. Don't fall in the same trap. You absolutely don't need 90% of the stuff to enjoy the day, play safely, and be competitive as well. And here is the list. You need a replica, battery with a charger or gas, BBs, a speed loader, eye and face protection, and one more optional thing, a red dot. And now a pro tip. You can easily skip buying any of these if you want to test the waters first. Many guys who have been playing for a while have multiple replicas and safety gear they don't use anymore. Ask around and you will see that most of them will be happy to borrow you a set for a day or two so that you can play and see if Airsoft is for you. Alternatively, many fields offer rental services for all the gear you need to play. This approach also allows you to test which replica fits the most without spending too much money first. Tip number 2. Buy used and new gear, but there is a catch. What is relatively safe to buy used and what should you buy new? Well, let me explain. It can be summarized in the following. Anything that is non-mechanical, like pouches, uniforms, helmet, plate carrier, slings, holsters, and so on, can be purchased second-hand. With these kinds of products, there is little that can go wrong, and in most cases, it is very easy to spot any damage just from a picture. If you can pick it up in person, it is easy to test and try any of these non-mechanical products and you see if it fits you. This way you can save about 50% of the cost with little risk involved. On the other hand, buying a replica like a pistol, AEGs or even sniper rifles requires some technical knowledge to pick the good ones, and from our own experience it can get a bit tricky, especially for beginners. There is nothing worse than buying a replica that appears to be working at first but breaks after a week or two, leaving you unable to play. Fixing such a replica can cost you a lot more than you paid for it in the first place. If you still want to go this way and buy an upgraded replica secondhand, just be careful and remember, if it is too cheap to be true, there is probably a reason. Tip number 3. Where to buy used gear. We used to have Facebook groups for that, but that is not the case anymore due to Facebook's gun policy, so finding a good active marketplace may take a bit of effort. We cannot tell you exactly where to look because every country has a different website to trade military gear, but here are some pointers. First, check Google, obviously. Ask local airsofters, they will surely know a place or two. Ask your local store if they sell used gear or if they can point you to a website in your country. Some of the shops may even sell display replicas with a discount that are almost new. Ask people on social media and forums, or use the search bar to get the answer right away. You are very likely not the first person asking the same question. Tip number 4. Maintain your gear. With everything you need already purchased, it might seem that saving money isn't really possible anymore. That couldn't be further away from the truth. Besides choosing the games to attend and a few more tips we will talk about later, these 7 maintenance-related tricks can save you a lot of money. After every game, remove the battery. High-end replicas and even some of the more reasonably priced ones like the SSR4 come with a programmable electronic trigger unit that gives you many advantages, but at the same time can drain your battery if left plugged in. That means that if you leave the battery connected for a week, it drains and can get damaged beyond saving. Additionally, batteries should be stored charged with 40 to 70% of their capacity. With most guns and a standard usage, that is very roughly how much charge will be left in your battery after a game day, meaning the only thing you need to do is not to recharge it right after the game. And since these batteries are somewhat sensitive to hits, punctures and high temperatures, it is not a bad idea to store them in a safe LiPo bag. Second, empty your magazines when you don't need them anymore. This saves the spring it from getting weaker and cause feeding issues in the future. If you have either a manual sniper rifle or a gas replica, don't store it cocked. Inside, there is a spring that is under tension when cocked. If this happens for a longer period of time, the spring will become weaker and you will need to exchange it. As for your gas magazines, release the pressure from them and leave some gas inside to preserve the O-rings and valves and avoid leakages and feeding issues. If you run a red dot, protect it with a protective glass. It can be very annoying and expensive when the glass of your sight breaks from a hit, and it is very easy to avoid it. For example, with an optic protector, just mount it in front of your sight and it will protect the lens from incoming shots. You can also use a kill flash despite its originally intended use to prevent reflections from your sight, which can give away your position. There is also a great DIY solution. Just cut out the shape that you need from a plexiglass and glue it to your sight. Another tip that will make your uniform last longer: only wash it when it's absolutely necessary. Washing a BDU or uniform too often will result in the colors fading out and ruining the fabric. If you need to wash it, pick a gentle detergent with no bleach or softener additives and use cold water, and do not tumble dry them. For our last maintenance tip, there is barrel cleaning. Unless it's an extreme case, not having your barrel 100% clean won't really damage your gun. However, more often than not, we encounter people unhappy with how their gun shoots, and in many cases, cleaning the barrel does the trick. Just keep it in mind if you feel like your gun shoots poorly. The cleaning process is simple and rather quick. Basically, you just need a cleaning rod, cotton stripes and rubbing alcohol to clean the inner barrel and the bucking. That way, your replica will stay precise. If you want to know how to do it, the Novridge Online Academy website has a good guide for every Novridge replica, which is pretty much the same for any other replica as well. Moving on, savings can also be achieved with BBs. While it's fun to shoot in full auto, it can become quite expensive. A bag of BBs, which is around 2,500 rounds, can cost around $10. If you are going full auto all the time, you can use up more than one bag per game day. On the contrary, if you manage to discipline your trigger, a bag can easily last 2 to 3 game days or even more. Given that most casual players play about 2 to 3 times a month, the savings can easily go in a few dozens of bucks. Another thing is BB weight. Best sniper BBs can be up to 8 times more expensive per BB than a quality 0.2 gram BB. That obviously creates a big difference in the money you can save. If you are on a budget, it is not a bad idea to shoot lighter BBs. However, don't go with too light BBs, as that may have a bad impact on accuracy and therefore your experience. A bare minimum we would recommend is 0.25 gram BBs for any decent replica, not including sniper rifles. That would be too little. Tip number 5, repairs and modifications. In the long run, some stuff will break and wear out, and that is normal. You don't always have to pay a professional 10 to 40 bucks an hour to get it fixed though. There are many videos and platforms such as YouTube or the Novridge Academy where you can find information like maintenance, disassembly, assembly and troubleshooting as well. So if you are on a budget, try to fix your guns and gear yourself, or you can ask a friend or someone on the field for help. You can also watch them and learn what they are doing, which will help you and save you a lot of time and money in the long run. However, if you've never done it before, keep in mind that you may break something in the beginning. It is normal, but eventually you will get the hang of it and even enjoy it. Worst case scenario, you can still have your gear checked and fixed by a professional. Tip number 6, organize a private game. Another area worth mentioning is the entry fees everyone needs to pay while attending a public airsoft game, especially in the US where insurance costs can drive the ticket price up to $40 or even more. Saving up on these fees makes sense. What is the best way to do it? Well, if you have friends who also play airsoft, you can arrange a private game. With fast game modes focusing on a single point, you can have a great fun even in 6-people games. King of the Hill is one of the good game modes for a smaller airsoft day. Just make sure you are hosting your private game on a private property where the owner knows what is happening and is okay with it. I believe there is no need to emphasize that playing airsoft in the middle of a city is not a good idea and may get you in big trouble. Tip number 7, get rid of stuff you don't need. Before Before we wrap it up, keep in mind that most people have some gear that they have never used or don't use it anymore. Isn't that your case? And if so, why hold on to it? You can sell or trade and get your money back or exchange it for what you need. This will also save you money in the long run. And last tip in this video, I want to share my personal story related to buying and selling gear. About 14 years ago, when I started playing Airsoft, I bought my very first budget vest to carry all the gear I had. It was super cheap, but it did the trick just like it should be, and exactly what you should do as well if you are starting out. The problem though came later. I bought a slightly better, more expensive vest and used it for a while. Then I bought a molly plate carrier with pouches, again slightly more expensive than the previous one. And then I bought another one and so on, until I finally went all in and bought a really high quality, expensive carrier with real steel pouches to go with it, which I still own to this day after about 7 years of using it. The point of this story is that I spent so much money on many marginally better carriers that didn't really perform as I wanted. What I should have done is simply skip all the mediocre stuff, save up a bit more money and get a good one right away. It would have been much cheaper and better in the long run. And do you know what is the worst part? I did the same thing with everything else. The replicas, the radios, helmets, uniforms and so on. Imagine how much money that cost. Don't do the same mistake. Start with the cheap one, save some money and get a nice one. Skip everything in the middle. And since we have to sponsor these videos somehow, this is one of the nice plate carriers you can consider. It is Airsoft dedicated, super lightweight, ventilated and with plates with holes, so you won't be sweating too much. Check it out.